Hey everyone, it's Michael. I hope you're doing well today. I have a review here for something I don't think I've ever seen. I may have watched it a long time ago on Netflix, like a long time ago, like right after high school, over 10 years ago. I don't know. But this particular movie came out in 2007, and it's the animated Doctor Strange film. And this is what, like 10 years, 11 years, something like that, thereabouts, before the live action Benedict Cumberbatch movie. And I have this in like a pack of, Marvel animated films, and I always thought that the Marvel ones weren't as good as the DC ones, by the way. Just my personal opinion, but the DC ones weren't like my favorite thing ever. The Batman ones are great, but outside of that, I've never really been a hardcore fan of the animated stuff from anybody, outside of the regular cartoon shows. Doctor Strange here, I was very, very surprised with. I gotta be honest. Now, just so you know up front, I've never really read any Doctor Strange. I own one of the old Marvel Essential books, and I think I have a couple of digital trades of his stuff on my Kindle. But I don't think I've ever read very much of anything from him, or really even had him pop up in much outside of events. And I want to change that up at some point. I don't know how soon I'll get to that, but God willing, one of these days I want to. Anyway, I like the Benedict Cumberbatch first movie. Multiverse of Madness, I think, is a gigantic mess. It's got its moments, but it's a mess. I'll get to that one of these days. I've watched it. I don't think I'll ever buy that movie, even though it's a Sam Raimi movie. Anyway, getting back to this, though, the 2007 animated film is essentially the same story, for the most part, as the first live-action film with Benedict Cumberbatch. It is an origin story, which I think was a smart move on their behalf, because a lot of normies are not going to understand Doctor Strange's powers. But at the same time, I don't think this movie goes into that enough, because most of the film is the same stuff you know from like the first 40 minutes of the live-action movie. You know that Doctor Strange is a doctor in real life. He sees something that he shouldn't be able to see. He gets into a car wreck because of some supernatural forces involving Dormammu, the old demon, coming back to Earth. And there's a lot of, Sorcerer Supreme war and whatnot against some monsters that are attacking the city, but no one can see them unless they have this ability to see that supernatural realm. And Strange has that before he even gets into his accident that ends up breaking his hand so badly that he can't even afford to be a doctor anymore because he can't do the job. He has to have steady hands. He can't do it anymore. Like I said, it's pretty much the live-action film does a great job of almost being beat for beat of whatever that origin story is. But there's not a whole lot of explaining Doctor Strange's powers. If they were ever going to have a sequel to this movie back in the day, not saying now, but back in the day if they were going to, I think they could have really explored that in a better way than the, let's say, final 20 minutes of this movie does, or 25, if you will. But I gotta tell you, despite its flaws, again, I had a good time with this. I think that the acting can be a little messy, the writing and animation can be a little bit messy, but the actual animation itself, I really enjoyed for the most part. Like the style, the design of the show, I liked that quite a bit. The music, especially in the ending, was not as generic as a lot of these typically are for DC and Marvel. For these straight-to-video animated films. It's one reason I'm never really impressed that much with these, because the the score is usually not that well done. It's very generic a lot of the time, and don't get me wrong, a lot of this movie's score kind of is too. It sounds direct-to-video like we're used to getting, especially at that time with Marvel. Because I saw some of the other ones, like the Thor Versus anthology movie, and I think I saw the Invincible Iron Man one as well. But it's been a long time since I've seen either. I plan on watching those, again, God willing, to review on the channel as well, just to see how well they held up, because I used to like those. But anyway, this movie, I enjoy the storyline. I think that as the movie goes on, it does a great job of making Strange very, very relatable. There's a lot of action fight scenes. A lot of that is kind of whatever. But I will say the third act of the film gets pretty wild. There's this... There's a little bit of a mix of 3D CGI animation in with the 2D animation. I don't really like the little green creatures they bring in that fly like bats in a big swarm throughout the city. But I was surprised with how adult a lot of this particular movie is. And I'm not talking sexually, I'm not talking about gore or anything like that. But for example, at one point, these creatures I'm referring to, like they attack a taxi cab. And the guy in the taxi goes from being himself trying to roll up his window in a panic. Those things get in the car. We see a shot change to the rearview mirror, and he's now a skeleton. They ate his ass. I guess technically yes, they did, but point is, he was a skeleton. He had no skin anymore. Not even any blood left, which was showing kind of how gross they were. You'll have fights in the beginning of the film where they're fighting like this big lizard gator monster demon thing that, again, humans can't see, but Strange can see, the other sorcerers fighting this thing can see. And, like, they'll chop off a limb of it. And it's not like grisly and gory and bloody, but like there's a missing limb on an animated creature for what essentially would almost be something mostly kids would pick up at Walmart back in the day. This DVD, I mean. Kind of surprised me a little bit. I think this is like a PG-13 film, which a lot of the animated films are, from both companies, DC and Marvel, the big two. But I was surprised with a lot of the adult nature of this. There's a little bit of a love story, just like the live-action film of Strange and his like lady friend at work, who's also a doctor, that I forgot her name. I'm sorry. I'm not familiar with Doctor Strange. That's all I can tell you. That love story was so well done. But getting back to Doctor Strange, though, the stuff with his past, I thought was so incredibly well done and emotionally well done by the end of the film, exploring like his relationship with his little sister when they were growing up. I really love what they did with that here. I think that was beautifully done. For a film that I had my issues with some of the animation, like I said, and some of the acting and performances, by the end of it, it won me over. Not gonna lie, I would totally watch this again someday. I had a good time. I think it was well made. I'm a little shocked, to be honest with you, because I'm not a Doctor Strange guy, outside of Benedict Cumberbatch, because I like him so much. And I think he fits that role so well. It's a great casting by fans that eventually got casted for the movie. But, again, I wish this was even better. I wish we had sequels to this film. Surprisingly enough, I never thought I'd be sitting here saying that to you. I just kind of on a whim picked this up to watch. To take a break from some of the other things I'm watching, like the 2002 He-Man show and stuff. This was such a great, refreshing little change-up. I don't mean to oversell it. It's a good watch. It's a fine watch. I don't think it's going to be anybody's favorite animated movie, but for the Doctor Strange fans out there, especially if you didn't like the last two live-action movies that just came out over the years, I think this is a good place to start. It's really crazy to me that this film is almost 20 years old next year. How crazy is that, dude? How fast is time going by that some of these animated Marvel films, not the shows, not the cartoons, obviously, that I grew up on 30 years ago, but the movies that were out when I was a teenager and stuff are turning 20 now. I'm getting old. I'm getting really old, and I can't believe that. So anyway, what did you think about this animated Doctor Strange film from 2007? Do you love it? Do you hate it? What do you recommend about it? Do you wish we had sequels? What would you have done with that if you were in charge? If you're a big Strange fan, are you disappointed by the fact that there's not a lot of his power stuff done in this movie? There's a lot of training, a lot of him becoming the Doctor Strange that we know, but not being Doctor Strange that we know too often. I feel bad for fans on that because it's an hour and 16 minutes, and it does a lot in that time frame. I think in some ways it does more in a more succinct, better way than the live-action film did, surprisingly enough, even though I like that first, Benedict Cumberbatch movie, like I said. I'd love to hear all your thoughts down below. Is it your favorite Marvel animated film? I could totally see that because there's not a lot of great ones. Let's just be honest here. Anyway, thank you all. God bless you again. Catch you later, and goodbye.